Chi-Chi Rodríguez, take one.
I'm glad you're not doing that very low.
On the green, Chi-Chi Rodríguez.
Of all the classic characters who've defined the game of golf, it would be hard to name one more entertaining than this guy.
Ah, yes, Chi-Chi.
Since I was a kid, I figured that golf was show business.
Out from the Caribbean, Chi-Chi Rodríguez, a real swinger.
You came, you were on stage, you give them a show.
But for all the stories that you could tell about Chi-Chi Rodríguez, this one's a little different. A little harder to figure. A little further away from where you might be expecting to go.
I think that cover definitely confused people. Confused most people, probably.
He was the first image we put out in the world. And it makes it look like we tricked Chi-Chi. Yeah, we never in 41 years got to speak directly with him or meet him and tell him what happened.
Once in a while, two parts of the world you never think would cross paths end up coming together. And when that happens, you might end up with the kind of story you couldn't forget if you tried.
The end of the story is the truth gets told. Chi-Chi and DEVO get to know the truth.
I love these harmonicas because they not only do you have your normal harmonica on it, but you have accompaniment. I am a collector. I feel like I'm on a lifelong quest to discover why we are here. Is that your new bass?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
It just came in today.
Check this out. We were just looking at them recently. These are the 24 tracks we recorded the Are We Not Men album on. So it's like, February 1978.
To Mark Mothersbaugh, everything he's held on to tells a story. The same goes for Jerry Casale.
We have the milk glass light fixture, the thing that inspired the red hat.
They're two guys from Ohio who in the 1970s started a band together. The rest? It's probably best to let them explain it.
Wouldn't you like to see some of this DEVO stuff?
Yeah, goody.
DEVO started out as a Dada art movement. We were making fun of mainstream uptight culture. We thought people were getting dumber. We thought the culture was coming apart at the seams. We called it de-evolution.
Whip It got chosen as a single by a DJ down in Florida. It was kind of a song that was easy to just think of as a disco dance song. It kind of worked to our benefit in a way. We kind of liked the idea that this could be infiltrating into the system because we were looking around to see who's successful in changing the way people think. And, it was like Madison Avenue. It was commercials. It wasn't rebellion that was winning the day. It was subversion. So one of the things we learned from Kent State was that rebellion was obsolete.
To best understand how Mark and Jerry look at the world, you have to go back. 10 years before their biggest hit, Whip It, came out, they were fellow art students at Kent State University, figuring out who they were right at a moment when their generation's sense of idealism was shattered.
I'll never forget May 4th, 1970. I don't think DEVO would exist without that day. Nixon had decided to start bombing Cambodia. That's what the protest was about. They shot tear gas at us and then fired live ammunition at us. The National Guard killed 4 students and wounded 9 on May 4th, 1970. It was a horrific time.
The shootings closed down the school. Before that, We had this very idealistic vision of where we were going in the future. And you know what? Our parents screwed up, but we're going to fix it all. You definitely found out how far you could go. You found that there was a wall.
So, DEVO was always more than a band for its members. It was a way of trying to make sense of a world they were losing faith in.
We were doing DEVO art. What we focused on was inane, mundane, dumb mass stuff. We liked to go to Kmart and Gold Circle because it had all this discount stuff. That's when I found, in an aisle of discontinued sports goods, the Chi-Chi Rodríguez golf ball package. This was the cardboard top of 3 practice golf balls for $1.99.
We loved it because it had Chi-Chi's head with his famous hat, you know, like centered in front of a giant golf ball. And the golf ball looked like pictures of like Neil Armstrong in front of the moon. To us, it was like a very iconic misappropriation of symbols. And back in those days, that's when, hey, you know, we're gonna just start moving up there. People can move to the moon. We kind of thought of Chi-Chi as, this is what America is. Like the things we were obsessed with as humans, it fit into the kind of the insanity that we wanted to talk about. Chi-Chi was perfect for us.
You got it. My name is Chi-Chi Rodríguez. They call me the Magic Juan. I turned down more commercials for products that I think that any athlete ever had. If you tell me to endorse a soup, and I look in the can and it says 750 grams of salt, I can't tell the kids to eat that stuff.
A visit to Chi-Chi Rodríguez's house in Florida will get you a free tour through a museum chronicling the realization of the American dream. The golf, you'd expect. The music, that's an added bonus.
Canta, por favor, canta. Mujer, si puedes tú con Dios hablar, pregúntale si yo alguna vez te he dejado de adorar. Espejo de mi corazón, las veces que me has visto llorar, la perfidia de tu amor. Remember that?
Yeah, a little bit. Music is something supposed to soothe your heart and fix your mind. It's not something to get you riled up. You know, I was a Frank Sinatra man, Nat King Cole, Big Damone.
We used to sing together. My father sometimes joined us harmonizing. The two brothers loving each other. That's all we had. Love for each other and sharing.
It's easier to be born poor than to be born rich, because a poor person like we were, you live with your needs and not with your wants. I was never a kid. I've been working since I was 7 years old. At 7, I used to work in the sugarcane plantations. I used to get $1 a day. And I had an oxen that I named him after me, named Juan, and my job was to give water to the guys that cut a sugarcane. And then one day, there was a hill, and my brother and I climbed on it. At the end, they were playing golf. It fascinated me that the guys were carrying the golf bags for the golfers, so I figured that carrying those bags was better than working the sugarcane. I went to the caddy master, I said, hey, can I carry one? He says, you're too small. I say, please, sir, give me a chance. I'm a good worker. I made 10 cents that day. 10 cents for 18 holes. Look at the forearms that I had.
Yeah, we still do.
That's from plowing the land with the oxen.
Yeah, we grew up in a farm, so we're healthy.
This is good memories. Good memories for me.
And good memories for me. And that's my kid brother there, driving Ambition.
I'm standing there like Claude Van Damme.
Yeah. You look like a movie star yourself.
Yeah, Rin Tin Tin.
Chi-Chi Rodríguez. 118 pounds of solid dynamite.
Chi-Chi taught himself to play during his caddying days. And it turned out he was a natural.
Great golf shot by Chi-Chi Rodríguez.
After a stint in the Army, he went pro in 1960. But his skills were just the start of why he stood out on the PGA Tour.
Shot. Very colorful player.
When I first went on tour,
He got it.
I started putting my hat over the hole after I made a birdie because I didn't want the bird to fly. The commissioner called me to New York and he said, some of the pros are complaining that I was damaging the hole. They were just envious, you know. Can you think of doing something else? He said, I'm not telling you to change, but I'm asking you if you can invent something else. So I went back to the room and I said, you know what? I'm a bullfighter. I said, I can take the putter and make it a sword, and the hole is the bull, and I stab the bull, and then I put this sword back in the scabbard, and then raise my hands and dry up the blood, whatever I have to do. And I started doing it.
That puts Chi-Chi 2 under par. Too bad this fellow is so reserved and inhibited.
I don't like to be anybody else but me. It's my stage, my show.
I grew up blue collar. Only the rich kids got to play golf. It represented establishment, it represented conservatives. Chi-Chi seemed not to be that guy. He was flashy. He looked like he had style. To us, he was like, you know, that was a bit of rock and roll.
So, back to the Devo guys. By 1977, things were going pretty well for Devo. They'd travel from Akron, Ohio, playing clubs in New York and LA. And before MTV even existed, they were making their own music videos. Devo pretty much did everything themselves. So when a small European record label approached them about releasing a single, it was up to them to design the cover.
We didn't want to be a rock band, you know. We could have put pictures of ourselves, you know, like in these, you know, with grimacing and holding our guitars, and that was the last thing we wanted to do. We wanted some sort of image that represented middle America values.
We had been sitting on this Chi-Chi image for 3.5 years, and I said, hey, why don't we use Chi-Chi on the cover of Be Stiff?
And so this was the cover of Devo's 7-inch single, Be Stiff, released in a small batch only in Europe. A few months later, the band got their big break, a major label record contract.
We signed with Warner Brothers and immediately moved from Ohio to Los Angeles because you had to be near the record company then, and everything was happening at super hyper speed.
My name is Rick Serini, and I'm a former creative director at Warner Brothers Records. This is a little bit of a trip down memory lane. All of this has been buried in my storage room for decades. They came, you know, with a package concept. They'd had it for a while. Everybody in the company had seen it.
We had already decided to use Chi-Chi for the whole first record.
We just love that cover, and we want that to be something bigger than just a single that came out in England.
When we showed Rick Serini at Warner Brothers Records, he loved it. He got it. And we thought it was a done deal.
Although I have to tell you, I didn't know who it was on the cover.
What did you think?
I didn't even ask. I mean, I should have. The look of the artwork struck me as the kind of stuff that you would get from a clip art book. You know, you buy the book and you get rights to anything in the book. And that's, I guess I just assumed that that's what it was. We were ready to go to press.
The way things were printed, you know, it's caveman days. There was no digital world. And there were a lot of lead times in preparing that artwork and printing that artwork. You had to commit, and it was a big deal.
We got this call from a lawyer at Warner Brothers who said, you can't use that picture. Where'd you get that? We go, well, it was on these golf tees, you know, and he goes, you can't use that. You can't just take a picture. That's misappropriation. We'll get sued if you use that picture. I think his name was Berman. I think it was David. I think his name was David Berman, maybe.
My name is David Berman. I was Senior Vice President of Business Affairs. The album cover reaches my desk, and I look at it, and it's obviously Chi-Chi Rodríguez.
And he said, well, do you have permission from Chi-Chi to use this image? And I went, no.
So, well, if it's not clear, then you can't come out with this cover.
And I go, what's the problem? He goes, you're using Chi-Chi Rodríguez. You can't do that. Listen, I'm a golf fan, and I know who Chi-Chi Rodríguez is. You can't do this. You can't use Chi-Chi Rodríguez. You don't have the right to do that.
I know they have claimed, well, they claimed a lot of things. They've claimed that I said no because Chi-Chi was a good friend of mine. I've never met Chi-Chi Rodríguez in my life. And they claim that I said you're making fun of Chi-Chi. Now, I don't remember that, but that's actually possibly true because I did think, given their shtick, certainly they weren't going to be into golf, which didn't really matter. Because you can make fun of somebody, that's fine. I was just offended if they wanted to release that cover without permission.
We had a choice. We could come up with new artwork or reach out to Chi-Chi Rodríguez.
But we couldn't find it. It was so close to the time that it had to come out. And I had found this, we collected something called Worldwide News at the time.
Some artist had shown what a composite of the last 4 presidents would look like.
It was perfectly hideous. Desperation, we just laid it over top of the Chi-Chi face and then had an airbrush artist blend them together.
So it was this mutant, weird-looking guy with big floppy LBJ ears, a JFK nose, a Nixon mouth.
They made us reverse the headband the direction it was going as if that would solve everything. We turned that in and they said, okay, you can use that. Of course, only fitting, once they go to the press and start getting printed, Chi-Chi Rodríguez returns a phone call and says, yeah, you want to use my picture on your record cover? Go ahead.
Eddie Elias used to be my manager. Eddie Elias called me. He says, this group want to put your picture in their first album. I like to help the young people. Any man that don't help the young people to take your places in society is in the wrong planet. So I told him, I said, you know what? Let him use my picture. Let him make some money.
He's totally gracious, says, yeah, you can use my image, and I just want 25 copies for my friends and family for Christmas. We're like, uh-oh.
Now we called Warner's instantly and said, can we, they go, too late. We're not going to print 100,000 record sleeves for Devo and throw them away. This is the one we're going with. I cringed at the thought of who was going to be at the door when Chi-Chi opened up that box and saw that piece of art.
And in the end, what happens is the most Devo thing in the world, where art and commerce collide. Now we have this mutant, grotesque image, and it makes it look like we tricked Chi-Chi.
Probably just thought one of us was a lousy painter. That's what I think. And he was so sweet. He sent me a letter where he sent me 8x10 blow-ups of himself, like in different positions with a club and stuff like that. And he said, if you do more albums and need more pictures, just let me know. Honest to God, that's the letter.
I listened a little bit of that record, and I still, to this day, I don't know what they were saying. I don't see how they're going to make money singing that stuff, and they became very famous. I could have made a lot of money with them, but I didn't. Can you imagine me dancing that?
And so goes the story of the legendary golfer who ended up on the cover of a groundbreaking album. Who would have thought everything could have gotten so perfectly twisted? Then again, who would have thought that it wasn't too late to give the story a better ending than anyone could have imagined?
He was the first image we put out in the world. This is what people remember, is this mutant golfer image connected to a techno-punk band. I would love the chance to meet Chi-Chi Rodríguez after 41 years and tell him I'm sorry, because we truly are.
Man, I feel like I've known you all my life.
Mr. Rodriguez.
How are you, Chi-Chi? Just Chi-Chi.
Chi-Chi, this is...
Look at you now. I mean,
I know.
you look-
It's just so great to meet you after all this time. I have something for you. This image, that's you, for real.
Huh? No,
That's really you.
That's Tom Cruise.
You were a handsome guy. And we loved this image.
Oh, this is beautiful. I like this better.
Yeah, handsome.
Yeah.
So we saw you on television back in the 60s, and you stood out. We loved the way you dressed, the bright colors, the hats, your style.
When we were young, and we wanted to look different, one of the things that I notice about the young guys now is that they want to look the same.
They all look the same.
They call it blending in.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't blend in.
Yeah.
And what do you do now?
The band has enjoyed a resurgence.
Yeah.
And now promoters ask us to play major concerts.
I'd like to come to one of your concerts.
I would love that.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Gary, you play golf?
Well,
look at your hands. Look at the thumbs. Now, that's golf. You can bend it back. That's perfect for the grip. Yeah, I used to hustle. So I look at every part of a man. If they could bend their thumbs like that, you didn't play for no money.
You realize this was 41 years ago.
41.
41 years ago.
I worked in the sugar cane when I was 7 years old.
Wow.
I was the water boy.
Jeez.
$1 a day.
Wow.
But you know what? Everything that I did honestly.
I respect that.
You might get a speeding ticket there, Jerry. You gotta move it.
Like this?
There you go. Now you're talking.
I never thought I'd get to meet Chi-Chi Rodríguez. All right.
Here, you're gonna make this one this time.
Now I look at it and it's like, it makes it 10 times more special that that's what we chose. He's just a great guy.
Jerry.
I want to try a longer one.
You do? Okay. Good putt. You gotta keep your fingers close to your hands. He's checking. You gotta realize that putting is not golf. Putting is a state of mind. You think you're gonna make it, you make it. Made it! Made it! Bam! What a good putt that was.
Right about, if you think you're going to make it, you're going to make it.
Do the sword. I think that God has a funny way of putting things together, and I think he has put us together right now.
Yeah.
DEVO! DEVO!
So great to meet you.
Right.
So great. I'm so lucky.
Me too. Everything is possible in America, isn't it?